What's happening, everyone? Before this next leg of podcast show starts, this is a reminder to you not to be a minge bag. Go over to Patreon, sign up for £1 a week and take advantage of all the Patreon perks. It is the Patreon that pays. We have a betting show on a Saturday, which the postman here is picking winners every single week.
Yeah, the betting show comes out Saturday mornings, covers UFC and boxing, footy when we're in the footy season. But yeah, we're winning on a weekly basis. I can't remember the last week we didn't find some sort of winner. So yeah, as Andy says, don't be a minge bag, come and get involved. And as I say, it's one of the best communities that you could be a part of, isn't it?
It's a belter. As well as the betting show on a Wednesday, me and Jord have a chat. That's where you might have seen on our Insta Reels about crocs, about harpooning people at the end of the night, all that kind of chat that goes on. And even better, every single Wednesday we do a raffle draw, and our sponsors Montrex give £100 gift voucher away just for being on Patreon. No better time to join. There's 30 plus episodes already that you can go back and watch. Again, no better time. Get involved. Don't be a minge bag. £1 a week, and we'll see you there. Alright, what's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant.
It's me, Jordan Neal.
First off, apologies if you're watching this on YouTube. It is via StreamYard, as busy schedules today have meant we aren't able to get in the studio. Same show though. First off, big thank you to our sponsors, Montrex. Don't forget to give away a £100 gift voucher every week. And all they do is encourage you not to be a minge bag and sign up on Patreon. Support the boys for £1 a week, and you automatically get entered into a £100 raffle. We've got Ver clothing. You get 20% off if you type in Legit at checkout. Sort out all your nice gear. A little bit like On, I'd say, but a bit cheaper and good quality stuff. Get involved in them. We've also got the latest ones. We've got this German farmer. I thought I'd show this. You had a heavy weekend, George. I had a triple heavy weekend. I was out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's probably not what it's designed for, but I was using this Revive Hydrate just to sort me out after being hungover. Get all your multivitamins there and all that. You type in Legit at checkout, you get 10% off, and we've also got Health Kick Kitchen providing you with your scran. All Scouts companies, all the links in the bio. They've been supporting the pod for a while, so get involved. Right, George?
Now the formalities are done.
Now the formalities are done, lads. I don't think there's anywhere else we could kick off. In fact, I want to say something to you now. I'll say maybe where you are. This week has been about Ronaldo. What are you thinking? As in, which Ronaldo?
I know. Well, I wanted to be that Boss documentary about fat Ronaldo.
That's what I wanted you to say, because that's come out, and if I can just touch on that for a minute.
I've only seen half an hour or 20 odd minutes.
I've not seen any of it yet, but I'm excited to watch it, mate, because that for me is like that was when I fell in love with football. Ronaldo, that Inter Milan, mate, the Inter Milan top, the black and blue one, first football top I've got, him and Christian Vieri up front and all that. And that was when I fell in love with football. You know, the Italian, I know you're into your Italian football at the moment, but like that Sunday, Channel 4, Roberto Carlos, you know, Zidane when he was at Juventus. So all those, you know, legends popping up in this documentary. Cannot wait to watch it.
It's brilliant. I've only seen 20 minutes, but it's a proper insight into. Obviously, he's a bit of a flawed individual, like all the geniuses are. But there's like interviews with like I think it's like I don't know if it's his mum or his stepmom or there's someone anyway, and it's just like of just the way he was and how like naturally gifted he was from like a stupid age. But do you know what else I found interesting? Like I know we're going to come on to Ronaldo soon, but do you know he has this thing around him where he didn't work hard and he was a bit of a, you know, he was always getting fat and that. It's just not true, you know.
Oh.
Like he was a beast, like from a kid. Like he was so driven, so, you know, naturally talented, obviously, but just like wouldn't give an inch to anyone. And I just think
it's just a lazy insult if someone is, you know, just put on a couple of pounds. It might be their natural body composition. It's just the first natural kind of lazy insult, isn't it? Oh, he's not training hard enough.
But there was points when he looked fat, like at Inter Milan, and he's not.
Yeah.
He's just a monster. But some of the finishes, mate. I mean, there's like a montage on YouTube of like the trailer, and it's that step over goal he scores in the World Cup. Like that's so hard to do.
Yeah, I think it's also like he's. I've listened to a McManaman podcast, and he said like he liked to party as well. You know, he liked that. So just bit of a not a bit of one. Is a legend in the game, and also sounded like a bit of a legend off the pitch as well. So, and then you've all got the complete other end of the spectrum. Ronaldo, I wouldn't say he's ruined his legacy, lad, but he comes across as a spoiled brat.
It's pathetic, I think. Like it's not. I understand the interview. Like if he wanted to do an interview in terms of, this is my stance on it. This is why I haven't been playing. Like, we're at log, whatever it might be. But it's like the bitchiness, the childishness of it. Like I don't mind him criticising the facilities, because Gary Neville's done that plenty of times on Sky Sports, said the training ground's old and all that stuff.
Yeah, but the difference is Gary Neville's not being paid by Man United.
Exactly. But it's the stuff where he's like, I don't respect the manager because he doesn't respect me. It's like, he's your man. That's your manager of the footy team. Like, just because you've done X amount, you have to earn that respect and earn your spot in the team. But
I thought it was just so interesting, lad, that, like, listen, it's his ego and his drive that's got him to be one of the greatest players ever to kick a ball. I get that. However, his ego and his drive now is on such a level where he's getting paid £500,000 a week, and he still feels okay to come out and slag the people who are paying him. I mean, what other industry can you get paid £500,000 a week and come out and have a go at your boss? I mean, it's just, his ego is just off the scale.
It's the stuff he took offence to as well. He was having a go at Wayne Rooney, and I actually seen what Wayne Rooney said about him. And he was like, he's 37, he needs to understand that he's coming to the end and he's not a shoo-in in teams anymore. It happens to us all. It happened to me. You have to get comfortable with riding the bench a bit. And he was like, well, he's obviously jealous of me. He didn't even say anything wrong. He was just like, that's the point you're at in your career. It gets us all. Then you need, but he even said, like, the outlet he done it on, like, obviously, it's a divisive platform, Piers Morgan, and what he does, like the uncensored stuff. But it's just, I think the dangerous thing now is that he's now remembered for being an absolute tool rather than being an absolute phenomenon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had some debates on, like, I know you don't like it, but I like Talk Sport, and they were saying on that, like, it's, for a lot of people, Messi and Ronaldo are kind of like this, and wouldn't surprise me if this has just made, them go, what, nah, Messi, because it's so bad, like, it is really bad what he's done, and I don't think he'll ever play for United again. I think Ten Hag come out and said that, so...
I quite like Ten Hag, I know I'm a Liverpool fan, but I actually do like the way he comes across. I like the way he breaks things down. And I think it looks like he's been onto this side of Ronaldo since he's walked in the door. Do you know what I mean? And he's been like, he's just here to now disrupt. He's not, I know he scored a lot of goals last year, but he's not the player he was, so he can't get away with. If this was Ronaldo who was at Real, then you sort of, I don't know, you swallow a bit because
allowances.
Because he's that good, but he's no longer good enough to take them liberties. And I think Ten Hag's been onto that. So I think this might be the best thing to happen to Eric Ten Hag, because I think a lot of United fans will be like on his side, the way he's handled it. And he's basically done it perfect, because anything that happens this year is going to be overshadowed by Ronaldo being an idiot, and it's a fresh clean slate next year. And as much as I don't like United, they have made progress, so to speak. You know what I mean? They are going the right way under him. So I think it's an interesting one for Ten Hag. But I just think he's come out looking brilliant. Why Ronaldo's come out begging for the club, basically, because I don't know where he's going. I know he's got certain things in his private life, which means he can't play, in the US and stuff like that. But I think, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes, because I wouldn't touch him with anything if I was a coach or someone who owned a team. Yeah,
no, mate, we were saying this at the start of the season, but who's going to take him? And there we are, 6 months later, saying the same thing. So, other interesting news that's come out this week, mate, on the eve of the World Cup. One of the big questions were last couple of weeks were Toney. Does he make the squad? Does he not make the squad? He didn't make the squad. Some thought maybe wrongly, and Callum Wilson got in. It's come out Wednesday, that he's been charged by the FA for over 232 alleged breaches of betting rules. Do you think that they knew about that, and that's why he's not made the squad?
100%, mate. He goes before Callum Wilson when you go ability for ability. He's 25 or something, Toney, like, scored goals in the Prem. He brings something different to that England team that no other players got, in terms of, like, he's a bit of a, I know Kane is a little bit, but he's a bit of a target man, isn't he? Like, he can get older stuff and that. But, I mean, clearly this has been rumbling on for a while behind the scenes.
17, it's till 2021, it's kind of...
I don't even know where to stand on it, because, like, If he's betting on himself to get cards or something, then yeah. But
if he's betting on himself to fucking get a card or first goal or something like that, some things he's got an impact on. Clearly, that is wrong.
But if he's doing like the mug accumulators and that, like, like he's only human, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing his 15 teams, both teams to score.
Like that in the changes. Oh, fuck.
Splash score up in his fucking betting.
But I mean, we have to wait to see the details. I mean, if he's been betting on Premier League or Brentford or whatever, then yeah, he deserves whatever's coming at him. But I mean, if he's just gambling, we've said this loads of times, and we promote responsible gambling on our betting show. Of course we do, but gambling is demonized to a point where other things aren't. So like, it gets much more scrutiny than we've just been speaking of, like what we've done this weekend. It gets much more scrutiny than alcohol. Do you know what I mean? It gets much more scrutiny than anything else. So if the details are that he's been betting on, a card in the Real Madrid-Barcelona derby, then I don't really understand what he's done wrong.
Also, betting is fun as well. People think, people are putting these bets on to try and become a millionaire overnight type thing. Sometimes gambling's fun. You only need to put a couple of quid on. It's a bit of interest. I remember Joey Barton come out and he'd done a load of bets, and you just assume he's a millionaire. He's doing crazy bets. He was doing like £5 on whatever and stuff. So I also think if he is, again, not betting on himself, but betting on the Prem, and he's betting, small amounts, things that he can afford, is he doing anything wrong? I mean, I know the rules state no football, and that's fine. That's the rules, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to get charged, then he's got to have done something, hasn't he? Like, do you know what I mean? I guess that. But I think before anyone should sort of throw the book at him, you've got to like put into context what he's done. Do you know what I mean? This is not. I know we see some of the footballers who are in crazy court cases and all that. This is a bet. He's not hurt another individual. He's not done something like, crazy that's going to impact someone. If he's betting on his own betting account with his own money that he earns through his job, as long as he's not doing anything that's, what they call morally incorrect.
Well, the scary thing for him is, he's great run of form. He's getting, he was getting spoken about so much.
What, on the bets or?
We've got to get him on the betting show this week. Special guest, Ivan.
Free homes from Ivan Toney.
He's come out and he said, I'm aware of a story about me in a national newspaper today. I've been assisting the Football Association with their inquiries and will not be making any comments until such investigations reach the conclusion. I'm a proud Englishman and it's always been my childhood dream to play for my country, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so he's come out and after, that was before it come out actually, that was about the World Cup, but that's 100% had an impact in him not making the World Cup squad. The thing, what's scary for him is he's just a rich reign of form, was getting spoken about, getting in the England team. Now, if you look at other previous bans, Trippier was banned for a few weeks, Sturridge was banned, Joey Barton was banned. If this is true after the comes to a conclusion, he's getting banned. He's getting a lengthy ban, which is such a shame for him, given Brentford seem to be flying under the new manager. He's doing well, and it would be a real shame for him. It'd be annoying because I think England, like, I know we're going to touch on the World Cup. I've had loads of stick off people on Instagram for the World Cup, by the way. But it's England lose out because people might disagree with me. I know Callum Wilson's hit a bit of form for Newcastle, but I think if England were behind and you were a fan of that, I think if you've seen Ivan Toney coming on, I think that would give you more of a chance than Callum Wilson. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I agree.
And I think like it's a bit of a tough one, but I guess you got to know the facts before you ban him or we side with him. But yeah, I just think it's a bit of a. I mean, around the World Cup, it's a lot of footballers' dreams and stuff. I just think he's probably sitting there, and if he is hard done by it, then I really feel for him. But if he's not, then he's only got himself to blame. But yeah, I just think it's a stupid situation and something that I think football definitely needs to look at it, because I understand the ethics behind it, going, don't bet, don't do this, don't do that. But you have to remember these people are human, mate. They can't go out drinking on a Saturday night, most of them. Do you know what I mean? They can't go and sit in fucking pizza huts and stuff the face. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if he's doing it as a form of escapism and he's doing it, responsibly and within the rules, then I think footy probably needs to look at that. But yeah, let's see the facts before we make any conclusions. Like,
you just mentioned a little remark about it ends up in court. Someone else who ends up in court is obviously Benjamin Mendy. That's gone through all his things. Pep Guardiola comes out this week, and I think he appeared in court.
Yeah.
what the fuck is he even? Why is he not distancing himself so much away from him? He's getting up in court saying, "Oh, he's a good lad." Oh my god!
Mate, I mean, I haven't followed the court case, but they haven't mentioned him since he got banned. Like, I've never seen anything from City about him, and then all of a sudden, the first team manager is in the bloody witness box or whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, I've read some.
I know the stories about, like, you know, women that have said things, and I'm sure men have as well and stuff. And, you know, I get the whole it can ruin people's lives if it's not true. But lad, there's a fucking lot of women.
I've read some really, really alarming stuff around that trial. Like, I've not followed it, but there was one point where Benjamin Mendy said that for the first time in his life, he had to think about his adult life. He had to think about money when he was in prison. Stuff like, you know, I never really knew what I was doing until I actually got to prison. Like, how far out of touch with the real world are these people? Yeah. Like, it's fucking scary, mate. Like, I know they are out of touch with the real world. I understand that, because the world they live in is not the real world, but that's terrifying.
Yeah, I just thought that was mad. But
yeah, it is. It is crazy.
We will touch on the World Cup. Mate, when was your first World Cup memory, or first, like, kind of international tournament?
2002, because my school would open up at like 6 a.m. so we could watch the games. Remember watching us, you know, when David Seaman didn't get that thing.
Oh, the Brazil.
I remember being there with like an England flag on my face and all that. Still haven't forgiven my mum for that. Like, and that was like going on to Ronaldo. Everyone in school had the little fringe, you know.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's hopes was pinned on Michael Owen. You know, it's just, yeah, that's my earliest memory, and then just on from there. But I was in Australia when Owen scored in '98.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the goal, but I remember sort of the years after, when I'm like 9, 10, just being obsessed with Michael Owen.
Obviously, I'm a little bit older than you. I remember my dad asking me if I wanted to go and see, I think it was Italy and Holland. It was at Anfield. And I was like, you know, for Euro 96. And I was like, weren't really that bothered. I was like, it's not Liverpool, so I'm not that bothered. Can't believe I said no to it now. Like, it would have been amazing to go to. So I vaguely remember that. But then for me, as World Cup '98, like, properly remember that.
I mean, I've sort of, I don't know, it's just like Michael Owen was just hysteria then, weren't he? Do you know what I mean? But I actually watched an England game at Anfield, you know. Beckham scored. I don't know who we played, but I was there. Beckham scored.
You're slagging me for England. You've actually been to watch.
Mate, I was speaking to my mum right on the phone the other day, and she was saying to me about, because she listens to all of our podcasts. My mum doesn't know anything about sport, but she listens because she thinks I'm a celebrity. And she's like, oh, I can't believe you don't like England. I used to paint your face and all that. And I was saying, what are you on? but yeah, she told me off for not watching the World Cup.
Yeah, you know what, mate? Have you seen the FIFA documentary as well on Netflix?
No, but I want to watch that.
Like, I totally, like, joking aside, totally get your kind of stance on I don't want to watch it and all that. It's like, and no doubt there'll be a lot of people like that. The reason I'm going to watch it is because, number one, I like football, and I don't think these corrupt old men in FIFA and around the world, politicians, the rest of them, just because they've made dodgy dealings, I don't think I should fucking suffer and watch a game that I love. So that's why I'll be watching it. And the other reason why is the world is fucked. Donald Trump has just said he's going to run again. You know, you've got Putin fucking doing what he's doing. Like, the world is fucked. And I think if you took, you know, a political, moral standpoint on everything, like a joke last week too, you know, you wouldn't get in an Uber taxi because that's funded by Saudi. You know, you wouldn't drink cans of Coke because they sponsor the World Cup. You'd go on and on and on. And yes, it is morally wrong what's going on there. It should never have been given to them. Human rights aspect, everything. But, you know, it's not on me as a fan to say I'm never going to watch a game again. It should be on. It should be on the nations to say, look, we're not going. We're not going. If they'd all turn around and that, then great. You know what I mean? I would have supported it, but we're not. We're here now. They've known this for 10 years. It's been going to happen. And you watch that FIFA documentary, mate. They go and have a meeting. Platini goes and has a meeting with the guy from Dubai who runs the kind of not Dubai. The guy from Qatar goes and has a meeting with the French president. Basically says, you know, back us for the bid, lad. The next few months later, Qatar and France have got like airways going against each other. Like, they buy PSG on the back of this, and make PSG the kind of beast that it is. There's all trade deals going on with fucking Thailand for exchange of votes. There's millions of. It's fucked. It is absolutely morally fucked. And what you do, just stand there. So that's where I stand on it. I'm excited to watch it because I love football and I want to see Messi and I want to see Argentina win the World Cup. That's what I want to see. But I get you why it's wrong. But
yeah, I think, do you know what? Like, I've softened my stance on it a little bit because in the world of shit media, I actually do subscribe to The Athletic and I've read loads of articles on there about it. And I don't support it in any way. And the fact I won't watch most of it or a lot of it is because I just don't like international footy. It just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I want Messi. It just doesn't get me. Like, for me, Jesse March said something in his Leeds press conference and it resonated with me. Like, they asked him what he thought and he said, I don't really care. And he said, it's like two different sports for me, club and international football. And that's how I feel on it. So I think the fact that I don't really enjoy international footy has made me sort of double down and go, and, morally it's incorrect. I'm really uncomfortable with like the LGBT and all that stuff. I think it's wrong. But I think, as you say, like, it's not the fans' fault. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand people like England, Wales or whatever. It's not their fault. So, you can't tar everyone with the same brush because that would be unfair. But yeah, I think it's just...
It isn't, mate. It's a tough one. Like you say, you shouldn't be in this position, but I've just brought it to the wider picture and thought, mate, you would literally not do anything. You'd hate everyone because everyone in power, mate, it's about power and money, and you'd look at our own country. Do you know what I mean? We're fucked.
I think it's the precedent that it sets, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Qatar get away, well, they are. If Qatar host this, I think that hope opens up not only the floodgates for other questionably morally incorrect countries to do things. I know, but
Russia.
I think once you do that, though, like, and you sort of open up to them on, because the World Cup, whether I like international football or not, is the biggest sporting event on the world by the Olympics. I think most people would agree with that. It's like once they get hold of that, like, I know Russia did, but they're a little bit closer to what we'd call reality. It's like a little bit. Yeah, a little bit closer. And then, like, but once these do it, it's like, I just think it opens up the floodgates to, we've had the World Cup, now we want our hands on the Premier League, and then the Premier League becomes this, like, whole Harlem Globetrotters, everyone's playing in Qatar and stuff like that. But alternatively to this, mate, I think there's actual issues with this World Cup, even like completing, Mate, have you seen how hot it's going to be?
Oh, yeah. Well, mate, you talk about that on the FIFA thing, and that it's so fucked, definitely worth a watch. Like,
I am going to watch it, but just to, like, because I like to continuously bring things down to a comedic level. Have you seen the fans they've employed for, like, England?
I haven't actually seen it. I listened to the singing, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Mate, they got whoever they've employed to be England fans and whoever they've employed to be Scotland fans. They were singing at each other. Oh, mate, I was crying laughing. Absolutely. All the Scottish fans have wigs on and that.
On that, the last thing I'd say to mate is on that FIFA documentary, the guy, you'll know his face. He's been like the spokesperson for it and stuff like that. And he says, like, all these things of corruption come out. It was bordering on, racism, and it just made me like so frustrated. And it's like a Matt Hancock cry. He goes,
"Oh yeah."
It's like, lad, you're a billionaire. Sit there. You just paid everyone off. It wasn't racist. It was fucking corrupt. I'll stop crying.
Yeah.
Tending to cry, but anyway,
classic that. But outside of that, though, I heard you say it then, and that's who I think will win it. Just because I think Argentina are going to win the World Cup. I think if anyone's got a £5 free bet, then I'd put it on them, because do you know what? As I say, then climate's going to be huge on whoever wins it. Like the South American countries, especially, are going to be at a little bit of an advantage, I think. But if you look at Argentina's team, mate, they've got so many. I know they've got Messi, but they got some class options, and I think they'll be hard to stop.
I watched the Messi documentary again on BBC, and how they all clubbed around Messi when they won the Copa America, mate. They know it's last World Cup. They're going to be doing everything for him to win.
And the thing is, he's still operating at a crazy level. It's not like you're carrying a 36-year-old, has been, and you're like, let's just do it for him because he's had a great career. He's still arguably, he is the best player at the tournament.
My dream would be Argentina-Portugal final. I don't even know whether that can happen, but if it can, that happen, and Messi obviously gets the better of Ronaldo, that would be for me.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
But everything that's happened though, mate, like with Ronaldo, I would not be surprised if he ended up winning the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Just because, like, that's just how his career's gone, isn't it? Like, he always gets the last laugh.
Mate, bit of bad news for you on the old F1. You had to pay up your kid, didn't you, Hamilton?
No, he had to pay me.
Did Hamilton?
Good news for me.
Well, I didn't know which way you'd done the bet, sorry.
So I said to him, Mercedes would win one race this year. And he said no. So then me and him have been going back and forth, and I've been second to last. He was out at the time. He was at Cheltenham because Cheltenham had their first 3-day meeting, and I was sending him all kinds of abuse, saying gives me dough and all that, and he still hasn't paid me. But so George Russell got, and then obviously Mercedes got a 1-2. But the bigger thing around it was, did you see Verstappen not letting Perez through?
Yeah.
Which is like, obviously Perez is trying to sort of cement second in the Drivers' Championship, and he would have took a massive step forward there. And Verstappen, despite the fact Perez has, sacrificed many a race to help him win back-to-back World Championships, said no. You know why I'm not doing it. Don't ask me again.
What was the reason for that then?
He hasn't said. Well, I haven't read between the lines, but when he come on the radio, he said, "I've told you my reasons. Don't ask me again."
Wow.
And then obviously Perez said, he's showing who he really is. But talking about, I mean, it's not as drastic as Ronaldo, but there is a little bit, I think, where it's like, Perez is one of the best teammates that in recent history, in terms of like, there's a big Twitter thread of the things he's done to get Max. I think there was a race last year where he held Lewis Hamilton off for like 32 laps or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's done a lot of stuff, sacrificed his own success.
Slide that on Max, innit?
And no, but then for Max to go, no, because I think coming second or whatever for Perez is, especially when he goes into his contract negotiations with Red Bull, he goes, "You're not going to find a better teammate than me, pay me more money." And now he could essentially lose it because his teammate who's won back-to-back World Championships didn't want to help him out when it become that time. But I think it all comes into other stuff in terms of ego and, like, having enemies in the same team and stuff. But I thought it was really shitty, and I think it does shine Max in a bad light. Like,
yeah. Talking about things getting shone in a bad light, only quickly mentioning it, that the live thing is just rumbling on again. McIlroy's live stand is incredible. Ram says this, and it's, every time I think, you know what, I see what's going on in the world of golf, we'll have a bit of a chat about who's winning, what championships are on at the moment.
Yeah.
The DP World Tour Championships. No one's talking about it. It's just fucking this live
it's
thing.
the easiest sport in the world to cover, mate. You don't have to do anything but just report on McIlroy having a kick-off.
It's a fucking joke. There is nothing else I won't even talk about on it, mate. It's fucking...
No, he's just I think it's now getting to the point where it's like...
It's a farce now, mate. I think...
Yeah, it was dead funny, wasn't it? It was like, we were having a laugh about it, and, but now it's like, just fucking get on with it, like...
I'm a self-confessed fair weather golf fan anyway. I watch the, huge tournaments, but it is interesting to know what's going on between the tournaments, and that is all that's going on. People moaning about people getting stupid money, and some people aren't getting stupid money. Do you know what's not
like unentertaining? NFL, mate. I have deep dived into this sport. So because I'm just like a success attractor, as people who have watched our Sportcast series will know, I chose a team at the start of this year, the Chicago Bears, who are inherently fucking awful, like completely shit. We have now unearthed potentially like a once in a generation quarterback since I started being a fan, mate. Just the only reason I want to bring it up is because I'm going to send you some clips, and I'm sure people who are listening might have seen it, or if not, go and watch it, mate. This kid, Justin Fields, as an athlete, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
mate, it's fucking incredible. He's like, I think he's 6'4", like, obviously over 200 pounds or whatever, mate. He just, there'll be times on like the third down where you've got to make a completion. He'll run like 3/4 of the pitch and get a touchdown, like on his own. It's like in the NFL, he's only 23.
You're speaking, it's going.
No, but I've proper got into like all the technical side of it, but I'll send you a clip of what he's been doing this year, mate. Even if you don't like NFL, just like as a sportsman, it's incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a sportsman outside of Usain Bolt and them run as quick as him. It's mad.
Lads, on keeping on the NFL, did you see Tom Brady's been he's basically endorsed FTX in the past, and they've been named as defendants in a lawsuit against Crypto Exchange, which filed for bankruptcy this week.
Yeah.
Him, Steph Curry, and Naomi Osaka.
The thing is tough because when all that cryptocurrency come out, they went for the biggest players, didn't they? But yeah, he's having a bit of a torrid time. Tom Brady, he retired for like 23 days, decided to come back, and now he's struggling badly. But
Birds fucked him off as well, I think, as well.
Apparently, well, reading between the lines, that's why he come back, mate. That's a big old divorce for good old Tom, that, mate. She is chilling.
Mate, dead quick one on the horse racing, mate. Constitution Hill is racing again on Saturday.
Yeah, the jump racing's off, innit? It's going. John Bon yesterday at Warwick. Obviously, do you know what the mad thing about horse racing is? And, you know, I know we're going to touch on betting here. The Cheltenham anti-post stuff. Like, that horse was like 10-1. He's now like 2-1 favourite for the Arkle or whatever. His competition hasn't even ran.
No.
Like, why are you betting on him now? It's madness. But, yeah, I'm glad to see the jump racing back. We actually had a nose hair second this week, the Geordie Ginge.
Really, yeah?
Our Jamie was riding it. And he was at Leicester. It was a bit of a low-key one. And he's jumped the last. So it's a 4-runner race. Jumped the last in 4th, like a well-detached. Got beat by not even a nose. But he's only a baby, so yeah, there's excitement on the Ginge Army front. But more excitement for the Patreon day out.
Yeah.
That ain't it? It's going to be a belt of that.
Yeah, we're doing a little thing on Patreon for all you legends who aren't minge bags and support us. So that's coming up in December. So again, get over to Patreon and all the information is on there.
It's going to be a funny day, that, you know.
I know. It'll be a long...
The first time, I think, outside of live events and quizzes, that's the first time we're all going to be in one place, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking carnage, that.
Another mad story from the world of sport this week, and without going all deep on the whole vaccine conspiracy stuff, this disease that, you know, nearly killed all the world, apparently, if we all never ran to the doctors and get vaccinated, well, it's obviously passed now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That same disease which said Novak is not allowed to play and defend his championships in Australia because he's a risk to fucking life because he hasn't been vaccinated. Well, that's all now suddenly disappeared because he's now being granted a visa to play in Australia. So that disease that spread like wildfire and you couldn't fucking do anything if you weren't vaccinated, you can't enter certain countries. Bollocks now because it's been given.
Sad though, isn't it? Because, you know, it took a year away of, or even more than that, of what he was like going to achieve. You know what I mean?
Well, mate, they're so close on all the championships, mate, and he was defending Australia anyway, and got told he couldn't play because of some bullshit fucking rule. So I'm absolutely buzzing for him. He's come out and said, you know, I could not have received better news. So I'm made up he'll be playing in the Australian Open.
Still need to look into that little dodgy drink, though.
Yeah. I'm just in Novak now, I don't care.
You're like, that was only water, that.
Before we got on to the UFC and box, mate, seeing a Melbourne United basketball players come out as gay.
Another sort of, obviously not at the top level, but more and more people coming out, which is, you know, I think we're now approaching where we need to be in terms of, all right, well in. You know what I mean? Good luck to you. Like, the quicker, I support anyone coming out, but the quicker we get away from, they're coming out as gay, woohoo, and we get to, well done, mate, good luck to you. Do you know what I mean? Because then there's no controversy, is there? It's like, you know, however you want to live your life, thanks for telling us, crack on.
Yeah. And
I think once you normalise it, it takes away the stigma then, doesn't it? And I think that's where we need to get to. But yeah, it won't be long before someone at the very top in the Prem or something. And I think once that happens, it becomes a normal conversation.
Mate, before we get on to some questions, as you know, on Patreon, we take questions in, and we've got quite a few to get through. So just before we get onto them, both great and not so great news. Last weekend we had Natasha. Bring home all the glory, which was great to see.
What a year she's had now. 3 belts, like about to get a fat payday because everyone who didn't want to fight her or told her that she was irrelevant is now screaming to fight her in terms of Terry Harper. She's now in the conversation to fight Katie Taylor again at Croke Park. There's a couple of American fighters. Eddie wants her. Sky want to keep her. She's got a 5-6, year contract career in the TV waiting for her. Yeah. She's got a couple more fights to go. I've got all these belts. Who's going to pay me a shed load of dough? She deserves it so much. One, she's one of the nicest people in sport. Two, she's done so much for women's sports. And continues to do. What she achieved as an amateur, being the first British female to compete at the Olympic Games and stuff like that in boxing, incredible. And then when she got beat, everyone wrote her off and said, she's shit. She was never any good. And at that point, she earned, I don't know this for a fact, but, I know sort of the game. At that point, she'd not earned any money. And now, through persistence, hard work, and her sheer talent, she's sitting waiting for someone to pay her a boatload of dough. And I hope she gets it.
That resilience of just never giving up and always believing in your dream. I just think it's so inspiring. And I was absolutely buzzing for her. So happy for her when she got the win.
Yeah, I hope she gets one more fight, gets paid, and then drops the belt when she beats Terry Harper or someone and goes, yeah, see you later. I'm off to be a presenter or a commentator and get paid every week. So cheers for that. I'm off. Legend.
Great news though in the UFC where, when this fight got announced a while back for Molly, you had your concerns again because this girl she's come up against, is young and she's looking fire. And it proved that way. She it was hard to watch, wasn't it? It was Molly just got caught up in all kinds of pain. It
was just destruction, mate. 3 minutes of complete and utter dominance. And I think what worried me was when I first seen it, I knew it was a bad matchup because Erin Blanchfield, someone that I rate really highly. I said on the betting show, I think she's, potentially the future champ. She's 23. And then she's in her hometown. She's from New Jersey, but she's in New York. And Molly's going, this is meant to be your town and all that. And she was just going, I'm not asked. Don't. And then, it looked like to me that she knew from day one, that Molly couldn't live with her. And she walked over to the opposite side of the cage. Fair play to Molly. Once she did put it on her back, she got it in that Kimura that she eventually finished on. Molly managed to fight it off. Yeah. But even that, mate, it was like she went sort of oh, all right, I can't get it. Yeah, I'm going to get it again in 2 minutes. It's the composure to have. And this is not someone who's...
The confidence of it's not going anywhere. Yeah. I know it's there when I need it.
And it's Molly is probably, outside of the champion and Talia Santos, the informed fighter in the division. She's dangerous, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And Blanchfield's just gone over, picked her up and gone, sit down. And then, almost broke her arm. And I'm glad Molly tapped, to be honest, because I'm uncomfortable with all this. I know Paddy does it in terms of, we never get knocked out. And Molly said in the past that she'd never tap. But if your arm breaks, then that's your career. Do you know what I mean? Potentially. So she'll come again. She'll be next year in London, I hope. But, mate, for anyone who's taken a deep dive into MMA and the UFC in particular, Erin Blanchfield, someone to get seriously excited by because she's 23 and as long as her stand-up game continues improving, mate, she is going places. She's special.
We got in just quickly for the weekend, UFC boxing wise.
We've got not much on the boxing. We've got a decent little UFC card, which I'm going to do on the betting show. But that features Danny Roberts against Jake Della Maddalena. Danny Roberts, obviously, a Scouse lad. His opponent is someone that I'm proper. Jack Della Maddalena is someone I'm really high on, who I think could, again, potentially be a champ. So that's a fight to look forward to. It's on a decent UK time. But just before we were to jump off UFC, did you watch the main event, Adesanya and Pereira?
Yeah.
Mate.
That's on Adesanya, didn't I?
Me too. And then he obviously put him on skates in the first round. I'm thinking, done. This is a matter of time.
Mate, then he's looking 10 more seconds at the end of that round, mate. Adesanya's win.
Yeah. And he's and then obviously, even when he put him on his back, I'm thinking, go and get the finish. And I don't know what it was, though. It was like that. It was the team talk that Leon got. Yeah. Where he's and then, mate, there's some funny memes going around at the minute in terms of because Adesanya's being followed into MMA by Pereira, and Pereira's gone and beat him again. It's Adesanya wants to be a cop. And then it's Pereira is the sheriff. Do you know what I mean? So everywhere he goes, Pereira's just going to follow him around. But the finish, mate, is so good.
Fight, wasn't it?
it's just like the left hook is just incredible. But that card was just unbelievable, man. It was just, fight after fight. Obviously, there's a couple of Patreon questions about it, which we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler round 1 is about the best round you're ever going to watch.
Yeah.
So, if anyone hasn't caught up on that, go and do it. But bit of a quieter week this weekend before we build into Army Paddy in Vegas and Darren Till as well. So, yeah, big, smaller week on the betting show, but we'll still be there and still be looking for some winners. Like,
last point, dead quickly before we go into the questions, mate. Nick Ball as well.
Oh, my man.
That was a destruction, wasn't it, lad?
Do you know what? I thought like a Mexican with a decent knockout percentage. Nick's from Everton Red Triangle, a brilliant school of boxing. They'll, maybe take this one easy. Yeah. How wrong was I?
He is the most exciting fighter I've got a personal interest in years. Yeah. You know the way sometimes a fighter grips you and you're like, oh wow, I want to.
Yeah.
I want to watch him. I can't wait to see. He is that fighter for me. Yeah. He's just.
I said that I was doing I speak boxing with actually one of our patrons, Jamie, on a Sunday, and I said that to him. Like, I don't think anyone in the UK, they might be more what you'd call talented or slicker or whatever. There's no one as exciting as him. Like, if he was to say, if Frank Warren was to say, right, we're going to the M&S Bank Arena in February, mate, I would be, what's the best ticket I can buy? Because I'm paying for it, you know what I mean? And I actually messaged Nick last week, and I was speaking to him, and I just said, good luck. I was like, once you do this, you'll sell out the Echo. And he was like, yeah, that's the plan. And then, like, he said it in his post-fight as well. And I just hope they don't try and keep him down south on these, like, because Frank Warren is essentially, based down there. Like, bring him up here, let the whole city get behind him. Yeah, he's a future world champion. He's like, he's got this whole mini Mike Tyson thing going on. He's quite, when you see his interviews, he's like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, he is quite a intimidating individual despite being 5'5". And he's like, I think everyone should just get excited about him and get behind him. And, we could genuinely have someone who's going to go to the top of one of the, featherweight, one of the most exciting divisions in the world. So, yeah, it's just it's going to be an incredible journey following him. Like, and we were on it from day one, which is good. Do you know what? I went back. Do you know he was my first ever interview as a boxing writer?
Was he? Yeah.
First ever, yeah. Mad.
Right, maybe we get in 10 minutes of questions from our legends who support us on Patreon. So again, it's £1 a week, and not only do you get to ask us questions on this show, but also we do a show on a Wednesday, and you get involved. You get loads of perks, and it's a good laugh, good little community that's growing.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So Dylan Murphy starts off. He said, "Question for George: You're the matchmaker for UFC 300. You have full control of where the card is and who fights. Who's making the main card and where is it?"
Wow, brilliant. UFC 300 is going to be huge, and how
many weeks away is that?
No, we're on 282, aren't we? So you probably got one. You're looking maybe this time next year, early 2024. Do you know what, mate? It's got to be Vegas, hasn't it?
I'd say Vegas.
Because I know there's emerging sort of Abu Dhabis and the magic always happens in New York and all that, but you just got to go T-Mobile. I mean, fucking sell the thing out. Do you know what? Oh my God, this is heavy.
I'll be up there.
What?
I'd have McGregor in there, mate.
Mate, I was just about to say that, and you know what I'd have him fighting? Charles Oliveira. Yeah. I'd say Charles, go up to 170. McGregor, keep juicing. You can stay at 170. So you'd have McGregor and Oliveira. I don't care about belts. I just say, just you two can go at it, full blown. I'd have Paddy on there,
Yeah.
And I'd have Paddy fighting Ilia Topuria, who we watched in London, who knocked out Jai Herbert, which would be, absolute fireworks. Mate, this is impossible to do, by the way. This card had cost that
I'd want to see Masvidal in there. I'd want to see Leon Edwards.
I'd have John at the top of the card. The fight I want to see the most is John Jones, who I consider the greatest of all time, to fighting against Francis Ngannou. So that's what I'd want to see. I'd want to see McGregor versus, although McGregor would never be anyone's co-main event, but he would be for me. I want to see him versus Charles Oliveira, Paddy Pimblett versus Topuria. I'm trying to not go too niche here with fighters who I want to see. We need
just those two lads. You've already sold me flight.
Yes, it's a free fight main card, but mainly, I'd want to see. I would love to see John Jones and Ngannou, and I'd love to see McGregor versus Oliveira.
Right, Jimmy Murphy says, do you think football should take a leaf out of rugby league's book and stop the clock for all injuries and time wasting, then blow the whistle on 90 minutes and then the game ends when the ball either goes out of play or in the goal? Would make it more interesting for me and would stop all the extra Fergie time. I think they've spoke about this, haven't they? I think they've said something along the lines of a game will play for, I think, for 90 minutes. I think it only actually gets paid for about 65 minutes when you take into account all the time it's out of play. So I think they have actually looked at this, Jimmy, which would be interesting. But
I would do it, I mean, I'm a massive...
go on forever, though, I think,
Yeah, I'm a massive rugby league fan. And the reason I am, and, you said it when you came as well, the game flows so well. Like, despite, what goes on and the contact that they have. The thing with football is, I think that, I know Liverpool employed a throwing coach, and I know Pickford's been done especially for it. I think he got done quite big for it in that Leeds game this year. Yeah. Like, if you are clever, you can take 10 minutes off a football match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Quite easily, do you know what I mean? And I think, if that plays to your strengths, it leaves you at an advantage. So the way footy's trying to progress with VAR, albeit, they're fucking it up royally, it's like, I think you do have to do something about this feigning injury and, And you know what else I'm starting to get uncomfortable with? Because the referees have started clamping down on concussions and stuff, which is brilliant. Mate, how many players go down after heading the ball?
Yeah, I know.
And go, oh...
Well, to be
devil's
advocate, Liverpool are on to a 1-0 lead in a Champions League semi-final. Yeah. And Salah gets a knock. I'm screaming at him to stay down.
Yeah, but that's it, innit? But that's like VAR. Like, we go... Say, for example, say if Salah went sort of one-on-one, and the defender come and pushed him in the back like Trent did at Tottenham, we'd all be going, get the VAR out, go and check it. But then if it was at the cop end and I don't know whoever we're playing, you're like, no, great call, ref. Do you know what I mean? It's all subjective, and I think
it's a nice idea, and I know it has been spoken about, but I don't. I think it'll.
The game's sanitised enough. I think it's a good idea. The game is sanitised, but do you know what I would do? I'd go back to when offside was just offside.
I don't know.
Fuck all the technology off and just go. We're playing old school footy.
No, let's have it. We might have won the league that year. When Sterling fucking scored. I was at the game at the Etihad, and it was just miles on side, and that was a joke anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do it, you'd have to risk of sanitising once again, aren't you?
We've already mentioned a little bit on this, but Dan says, I know George isn't that keen on the World Cup, but if someone gives you a £300 to pick the outright winner, 50 quid on your banker, and 50 quid on an outsider, who are we picking? I pick Argentina as my banker, Senegal as my outsider.
Yeah, I think Argentina are naps material, mate.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Argentina to win it. I think, Brazil will go far. And I think my outsider would be... You know what? Someone like... he said Senegal there, Dan. That's not a bad shout. Someone like...
Yeah, the African countries, yeah.
Denmark or someone like that, do you know what I mean?
I think Netherlands have got a good team going. But I think, yeah. Do you know with who else I think could have a good tournament? And this is, we're going to laugh about. I think Nunes could have a good tournament,
He's coming to a bit of form, hasn't
he? Yeah. Once you've just allowed him to be an absolute lunatic and just embraced it, he's looked all right. And, playing up front with Luis Suarez, he's going to be allowed to be a lunatic, isn't he? So.
Yeah. And I will say this as well, just for the record, mate. It wouldn't surprise me. You're going to laugh at me. Wouldn't surprise me if England wins it.
No way, and I'll give you now. Let's have a bet like I had with the F1. Let's have a little gentleman's bet.
Go on.
England don't get further than. Yeah, we'll make it simple. England don't make it to the semi-final. You say they've got a chance. I'll say they don't.
Okay, I'll take you on that. Just a little 20 quid.
Well, I reckon we go 50 quid to our skydiving fund.
Okay.
We'll donate it to Owen McVeigh.
So we're doing a skydive in early next year to raise money for the Owen McVeigh Foundation. If you want to sponsor us, that'd be great. But go on, 50 quid will go to that.
England don't make the semis, so I'm going to be.
Before we go on to the next question, my reason for saying that is a lot of these other countries, and I know they don't all play in these leagues, but there'll be a lot of players that are used to having breaks. Do you know what I mean? Around this, they're cracking on playing. So I don't know. I'd be talking absolute bollocks, but let's see. Dylan Murphy says, right, lads, what are your thoughts on the VAR since it's been here? I like it sometimes and fucking hate it others. The other day, I had an idea. Each team should be allowed 3 calls like in tennis. So that's a good shout, that, isn't it?
It's a great shout, that. Brilliant shout. And I've never even thought about it myself.
But if you know the other team's used up its 3 and it's just a fucking blatant handball on the sly, I mean, could that then happen?
Yeah, but that's your... But then it becomes strategy, doesn't it?
Mm.
And I think you take away these, like... I think you take pressure off the referees, because the reason I take pressure off them is because I think they're incompetent. I don't think they can handle it. And I think, yeah, I would be for that, because I think then you know what you're dealing with. And, I think it would take away some of there's some stupid VAR calls, man, like proper pathetic.
It is, but I don't like you've just said it there, the strategy and the tactics that will come in. Oh, he's already used 3. I don't know. That nice idea, but that's not for me.
I'd go for it.
Paul Johnson, he says, right, lads, what are your thoughts on UFC's ruthless matchmaking at times? Talking in relation to Frankie Edgar retiring in the manner he did last week, we just mentioned it then. There's definitely no happy endings in sailing off into the sunset for these legends of the sport, is there? Tough to see fighters go like this after they've done so much for the sport. Little Couture, Franklin, Griffin, all examples that shouldn't have fought the last 2 fights they did. Sad seeing so many get turned into memes now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't touch on Frankie Edgar because I knew this question might be coming. But on the other hand, that was my biggest win of the weekend, was Chris Gutierrez to win by knockout. But the thing is, I understand it. And I understand that there's no sort of sailing off into the sunset. But the UFC can't be what the UFC is if you want people to get soft touches. Like, the UFC is the best versus the best. It's the pinnacle of the sport. It's the best promotion in the world. If you can't survive in there against whoever they put you against, then you shouldn't be in there. There's no navigating a route. There's no, I'm going to go the softer way or whatever. You just get told who you're fighting, and it is what it is. And I think, that's the way the sport's built. It's the fastest growing sport. I know the sport is MMA, but I mean, that's the reason MMA is the fastest growing sport, because the prominent promotion are like that. The prominent promotion are, ruthless in the matchmaking. And yeah, I understand, but if this is the case, then maybe they should make like a division for over, veterans or over the certain level. But the thing is, I understand the sentimentality around it, but I love UFC especially because of the way it is. I love the fact that you're not going to go in and fight sort of a journeyman. Do you know what I mean? And I think we do run the risk of legends who we love, and like Frankie Edgar, who's a fucking Hall of Famer, becoming, memes. But I think that's the way MMA and UFC especially is set up. So yeah, I think it is what it is at this point.
It's just in general, that these people you look up to and you've idolized for so many years. Eventually they're gonna get beat. Eventually they're gonna go out and stuff. And I know what Paul's saying there in the manner that they do, but it's just what happens when you're sentimental about someone and you love someone and you're rooting for them. Unfortunately, it is sad.
But I think if you said to Frankie Edgar, then, Frankie Edgar's on a decent contract with the UFC. We've spoke about UFC fighter pay, but the longer you're there and the better you are, the better your contract, the more money you earn. If you'd have said to him a couple of years ago when you were renewing the contract, listen, Frankie, we don't think you can compete in this now. Do you want to go and fight in Bellator or some PFL or something? He'd have said, no, fuck that. I'm still good enough to be in the UFC. So I understand where they're like, come on, take it easy. These are legends. But you sign into the UFC on the fact that you're competing against the best. So you can't start taking sort of liberties and getting easy touches. But yeah, I think the UFC as a promotion is set up that way, and that's the way it is. If you don't want to fight the best, then go and fight in the PFL or Bellator.
Last 2, mate. Ian says, right, lads, saw an interview with Ronaldo a while back where he said he couldn't even take his kids to the park because within a few minutes he'd be surrounded by hundreds of fans. So it got me thinking, would you rather be one of the greatest sportsmen in the world of your field, respected wherever you go, known as one of the best and a multi-millionaire, but for the rest of your life, everywhere you go, you get recognised and constantly pestered by fans? Or...
like you, though.
Without the money. Or a journeyman pro who earns around 100 grand a year for the duration of his sporting career, never wins anything, is never remembered for doing anything significant in their career, but can live a normal life with family and friends.
I mean, do you know what? I think I'm not even saying this because I'm noble. I'd rather do the second, but I think if you were to dedicate your life to a sport and there's nothing to show for it, I think the money wouldn't fit. I know 100 grand a year is a lovely amount of money, but I think that would leave a big hole. You need achievement, don't you? And with achievement comes notoriety, and I think
you need job satisfaction, mate. And being a journeyman who never earns fuck all, getting battered every week, that's not job satisfaction.
But I think, but I think what he means there is like just being a pro in any sport and just earning like, middle of the road money. And I get that, but it's more would you sacrifice? I wouldn't sacrifice living a normal life for anything. I think, that I treasure being able to go to the cafe with my daughter and my son and have a good time. But I mean, if you were to go to bed and be like, right, I've been a pro in whatever sport it may be for the last 15 years, and all I've got to show for it is 100 grand a year, I think that would leave a hole, man. You'd be like, you'd feel hollow, wouldn't you?
You give like two real extreme end of the scale examples there. My option would be like an option number 3, where someone like a Jamie Carragher, you see him walking around, Liverpool.
The odd selfie.
doesn't get that much, made a few quid, made us won a hell of a lot. I'd kind of go pick on number 3, because the 1 and 2 examples he's give there are so extreme. If you're going to put a gun to my head now, I'd pick the first one, because as crazy as it be at the time and stuff, I think that eventually would kind of go away, and you could enjoy your career and the money that you've made in your career and your family. It would be hard, no doubt about it. I mean, I don't think there's anything worse than you see that David Beckham, Ronaldo like level of fame. But I think as you got older and you retired, you get more of your life back.
Yeah.
So I'd go for number 1.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it, to be honest. But I just want to ask you, because it come to me then, would you rather be Jamie Carragher or Harry Kane? In terms of Carragher, who's got a couple of medals, but like never going to be seen as like the one of the greatest players to ever play in the country, or Kane, who's considered maybe England's greatest ever striker, but not in the trophy cabinet.
Kane will never win a trophy. Carragher's won the Champions League.
I know, but it's just like, if personally, I think if you put Kane and Carragher next to each other, everyone would go Kane, but in reality, Carragher's been, got more in the trophy cabinet. I just think it's an interesting debate, that one.
Fucking, it's not shit. It's the easiest fucking answer ever. Fucking.
Lad. Some people.
Anyone who says Kane's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but Kane's like arguably the greatest striker in the Premier League history. Scored however many goals, going to break the record. England captain, probably going to get over 100 caps.
Nah.
And then you got Carragher, who is, one of Liverpool's best ever players, but outside of that, but he's won trophies. He wasn't really an England player for long.
Carragher.
I would choose Carragher myself, but I think it's an interesting one, that.
All right, last question of the week. Jay Leonard, he says, seriously, would like to hear you touch on the topic of the future of boxing, because it's baffling me. Boxing of late, and I'm seriously falling out of love with it. Hope you're well.
Breaking my heart, Joe.
I think it's
breaking my heart.
Not only breaking boxing fans' hearts, but it's also, I think UFC is just flying that much as well. It's an easy kind of way to go. It's making boxing, for me anyway, become even more irrelevant, because it's like, this is just a shit show and we've got this amazing sport over here. It's easy for me to just go, fuck it.
Boxing is in the most dangerous position it's been in for however long. And we're talking, this is a sport that's had people like fucking Don King in it. Like, this is a sport that's been controlled by the cartel for numerous years, or various cartels. But yeah, I think it's in a really dangerous spot. And I think the problem is there's no way out. Now, you've signed too many deals with too many devils that there's no way out for the sport. So the best thing we can hope for is, like, as I said it in a negative light on football, but boxing needs sanitization. Boxing needs, like, cutting and then being like starting again. But the one thing you do have, and you will always have as a boxing fan, is people to invest your time and appreciation in, like Nick Ball, like Usyk, Lomachenko, all these fighters who you might love. But I think boxing has had it so easy that no other combat sport in the world could ever live with it. Like, no one I know follows the world kickboxing scene. No one I know follows, I like jiu-jitsu, but no one follows it every week. But now, as you rightly say, you've got an alternative sport called MMA that has got one of the most forward-thinking promotions at the top of the sport. But below that, it's got about 4 different promotions who are also doing things really well. And the other thing that boxers scared of is now BT Sport are heavily invested in this sport. Sky Sports will be looking at the UFC going, we need a slice of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And at what point will they go, we give boxing, I don't know how many hours a week, fuck that off. Why don't we get MMA on? Yeah. More people, look at the numbers that Matchroom and them do on YouTube. Look, numbers aren't everything because some people listen in different ways, but it's a good idea of younger generations. Look at the numbers they do and look at the numbers the UFC channel does. Blows them out the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in a really bad place.
Don't know the answer to what they do, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of years.
Do you know what they should do? Just everyone get behind Jake Paul. And he's going to fight Tommy Fury in February in Manchester, and it'll sell out in seconds.
Couldn't give a fuck.
I know, but he will fill. He will. Did you see fucking John Fury jumping over the ring and that?
Yeah.
I could go toe to toe with Mark Tyson. No, you couldn't. You fat whopper.
Don't let him come to you, lad.
I hope he does. All I'd have to do is get a jog on. The big fat mess. Sorry.
Right, so that brings us to the end, lad. I've enjoyed it, lad. Covered quite a bit.
Yeah. Be good to get back in the studio, but yeah, StreamYard for now.
StreamYard for now. We'll be back next week for our Wednesday show. So if you want to hear that, get on Patreon. It's only £1 a week. Stop being a fucking minge bag.
Yeah. And also, if there's any guests you'd like to hear of, get in the comments or DM us or whatever, because we are getting back on the guest train. But we want to be selective and have proper guests on who people are interested in. Not that none of our guests haven't been proper, but we want to take it to the next level. So let us know what you want to see.
Yeah. Nice one for listening, everyone. Have a boss weekend. Don't forget the betting show will be out tomorrow. And yeah, see you soon.